Yuyushiki is a slice of life anime, and it follows the daily lives of Yuri, Yukari, and Yuzuku. They create the data processing club where they talk about and research a bunch of random topics they thought of. For the average viewer, it seems like Yuyushiki is just another slice of life anime, like Lucky Star and Azumanga, for example. However, beneath this cozy slice of life anime lies a darker, more tragic depth into this otherwise wholesome slice of life anime. In this fury, Yukari and Yuzuku are dead and are only kept alive by Yuri through a puppet. So without further ado, let's dive right into this fury. On the surface, it seems like Yuri, Yukari, and Yuzuku are just hanging out and doing a bunch of random stuff. However, things get strange when we dive more into the small details. One example is that in episode 2, Yuri mentions that I'm going to apologize in advance, I'm going to butcher some of these names. Akiwa chats with her without any issues, but she gets uncomfortable when Yukari and Yuzuku appear. Akiwa isn't the only one who acts like that towards Yukari and Yuzuku. In the first few episodes, Yuri's classmates completely ignore Yukari and Yuzuku. The evidence supporting this claim is that in episode 4, when someone greets Yuri but ignores Yukari when she greets her. Another example is shown in episode 6. Kai has a conversation with Yuri. She looks at Yuri and Yuzuku when she talks to Yuri and completely ignores Yukari and Yuzuku. The only one who doesn't ignore Yukari and Yuzuku is Matsumoto. And then the question pops up, why does everyone else ignore Yukari and Yuzuku? Maybe because they feel comfortable with them? No, the actual reason is that Yukari and Yuzuku don't actually exist. This theory originated from an eye catch, where Yuri plays with a Yukari and Yuzuku puppet, which is what Yuri's classmates see. We also see the order we see in the trio sometimes. That's because Yukari is the right puppet while Yuzuku is the left puppet. Also, Yuri's name can be written in different kanjis. One of them mean lonely, which means Yuri is the only real person in the trio. You will probably say that Yuri's classmates also talk to her. There are also moments when Yuzuku and Yukari interact with other people when Yuri is not there. The explanation then is that Yuri has dissociative identity disorder. We see this in episode 3. Akira sees Yuzuku in the library, but she didn't actually see Yuzuku. It was actually Yuri acting like Yuzuku. There are moments when Yuri changes her personality. Even more, there are situations where Yuri mentions she's talking to her friends, when she's actually just talking to herself. Now the question is, how did this happen? Well, before high school, Yuri was bullied for being a lesbian. She was bullied badly to the point she suffered from PTSD. To overcome her situation, Yuri made 2 personalities as moral support because they will always tell her they love her. Now Matsumoto-san, who is actually Yuri's therapist, gave Yuri puppets to help her because it would be easier for Yuri. Also, this reveals Yuri's real intentions. Yuri is the one who harasses the girls. She acts like a normal girl, and she blames her puppets when she harasses someone. Also, the reason why Yuzuku and Yukari call Matsumoto mom is because she made the puppets. Also, the data processing club is actually a place where Matsumoto can track Yuri's activity, including the board. Even if Yuri acts weird, sometimes she realizes that what's happening isn't actually real. For example, in episode 1, when she says that Yukari and Yuzuku are too cute to be true. The trio why Matsumoto is the sponsor of a small club. Basically, Yuri knows she's living in a lie. So the reason for Yuri's condition was that she was bullied for being a lesbian. That alone is not enough to justify Yuri's condition. We have some clues in some episodes that can prove that Yukari and Yuzuku died. In some scenes, there are white borders that tell us that these scenes are Yuri's memories with Yukari and Yuzuku before they died. This series doesn't only show us the everyday life of the trio, they also show us Yuri's past. So Yukari and Yuzuku were once alive, but unfortunately died in a horrific way. Judging by Yuri's memories, Yukari and Yuzuku supported her when she was bullied for being a lesbian. If we were to realize that Yuri was a lesbian, Yukari and Yuzuku are lesbians too. So after their deaths, Yuri decided that Yukari and Yuzuku still exist and ignore everyone else who contradicts her. And that's why there are gray people, kind of like the exes seen from A Silent Voice. Also in the ending, we can see that Yuri's childish point of view. Besides the trio, the only character that appears is Matsumoto, because she isn't a threat to Yuri. Yuri's parents, seeing her daughter's mental state, decide to take her to a psychologist, Matsumoto, who instead of telling Yuri that Yukari and Yuzuku are dead, gives Yuri two puppets that look like Yukari and Yuzuku, and a place where nobody can bother her. In this manner, Yuri can return to her school and participate in a relatively normal way, because she still has some nervous breakdown moments. Like in episode 4, when Yuri didn't sleep the previous night, and Yukari and Yuzuku try to make her feel better, but they fail and Yuri loses her mind and passes out. Yuri then wakes up in the infirmary and says that she's alone until Yukari and Yuzuku appear to make her feel better. During one summer vacation, the Yuri trio went to the beach, where an incident causing the deaths of Yukari and Yuzuku. Yuri was responsible for them, and their deaths crushed whatever was left of Yuri's spirit. Details about this can be found in episode 12, where the girls talk about their summer vacation and Yuzuku remembers the day she died. Yuri tells Yuzuku to forget that and remember the summer where nothing bad happened to them. This could demonstrate that Yuri created an alter ego to change their past. After that, Yuri asks Yuzuku if she's going to die, and Yuzuku says she won't because Yuri will decide what happens to them. An interesting monologue took place at the end of episode 6, which represents God as a snowflake, who says that he will make a miracle if he falls on a human. The snowflake missed Yukari by a few centimeters, so God disappears with the snowflake melting away, and Yuri doesn't get the miracle she badly wanted. So Yuri was bullied in her old school. However, in her high school years, she isn't bullied anymore, but doesn't socialize with others because of her PTSD. Fortunately for Yuri, her new friends don't have anything bad in mind, especially Akira, who learned to communicate with Yuri's alter egos and work with her puppets. Also, it's probably that Akira is interested in Yuri since she gets nervous when they get close to each other, and Akira also wants to take Yuri's hand. She's not the only one who socialized with Yuri though. Fumi and Okinao socialize with her too, although they refuse to do it in her first year of high school. Something we have to point out is that the ending is different in every episode, including the characters who appear. At the start, it was just the Yu trio and Matsumoto. A couple of episodes later, Akira appears, and after a few more episodes, Fumi and Okino too. Yuri's friendships are making a positive impact on her, with evidence of this happening in episode 9. Yuri sees her classmates as people and not as silhouettes anymore, as she realizes they have real discussions, unlike her old classmates. Yuri's new friends help her overcome her PTSD, but there are other people who help her in overcoming her fear of socializing. Those people are Yuri's alter egos, who help Yuri to accept her past. For example, in episode 8, Okino buys some stuff, but she doesn't have enough money. Yuri is motivated by Yukari and Yuzuku, and she helps Okino pay. In episode 9, Yuri invites Akira to the data processing club, and Yukari and Yuzuku disappear to help Yuri socialize with Akira. In episode 11, Akira hurts her wrist, and Yuzuku and Yukari motivate Yuri to help her. So what does this mean? Yuri being bullied and losing her friends in her previous school doesn't mean it's over for her for the rest of her life. Yuri's destined to have good friendships. So that means, are we done with this Fury? Well, no. We still got a few more loose ends to go over. Now we have seen that Now we have to see Yuri overcome her fear of the ocean. We have to go to episode 12 to dive into this part. Yuzuku asks to go to the beach. Yuri refuses because she hasn't fully overcome their gifts. So Yuri suggests going to the pool instead. But Yuzuku encourages her to go. Yuri accepts as they arrive at the beach. She realizes that the ocean isn't that bad and she forgets the past. So does this mean that Yuri will stop imagining Yukari and Yuzuku? Yes and no at the same time. The ending of episode 12 shows Yuri meeting Yukari and Yuzuku. But this time it's not because Yuri has puppets. It's because Yukari and Yuzuku will always be alive in Yuri's heart and soul forever. As they say, a person doesn't truly die until they're forgotten. So yeah, that's the Yuyushiki puppet theory. If you really think about it, the whole premise of Yuyushiki, a typical slice of life anime, now became a story of how Yuri overcame her past trauma and made new friends who accept her for who she is. Personally, in my opinion, I don't believe in this theory, since I watched slice of life anime to have a pure and cozy experience, not a sad and sober story. It is still an interesting theory either way. I'll leave all the sources that I got to make this video down in the description below, including the original Reddit theory, plus there's also a video that explains the Yuyushiki puppet theory, but it's in Spanish, so I'll just leave a link to it down in the description too if you want to watch that video too. So anyways, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications for every new video upload. Anyways, peace out guys and have a good day.